so grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie is totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was a pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you just devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true. But anyway, what?
Let's see. Say something, John.
Hello, Howie. Good evening, Howie. Hi, Howie.
It's still not coming through.
I got the player playing. It's I'm getting
Hold on.
like,
Hold on. I think we're on now, John.
you think so? You think so?
Yep. We are now on.
Wow. I better shut off my iPad or we'll get feedback.
I don't know who's still going to be out there. Why don't you tweet out that we're actually on, and then
Far out, yeah, okay. Well, good evening, Howie. Fancy meeting you here.
Yeah, I need a drink. Not bad. 13 minutes in.
I don't drink, and I need one too. So, okay. Apologies. We're live now.
Well, there's still 2 minutes of our. I don't know who's still going to be out there. There's still a few minutes of us going back and forth with banter. I'll be right back.
Well, and welcome everybody to the Traffic Report. Sorry, we had some fairly major technical difficulties, and they seem to have been ironed out, and apparently we're on the air. I'm glad. Tonight's show is why have an FBI? Very good question. And what we're going to do is kind of recover all the information, evidence, if you will, that's out in the public domain. As far as child trafficking, anywhere from the finders to the 80 priests in the Baltimore Archdiocese that are admitted child rapists that have not been prosecuted, to the FBI report that we talked about last week that was investigated by apparently good FBI agents that had Scientology, slam dunked for human trafficking, and there was no prosecution. So, yeah, I'm a little pissed, and I spent about an hour on the phone with Tim Hotham, who, if you listen to the show, you know who Tim is, at Justice for Rod, who's been trying to get his brother's murder prosecuted for the last 25 years, and that we were discussing that too. Why do we even have an FBI?
I'm back, by the way.
I'm glad you're back, Howie. I was getting lonely.
I don't want to.
The other night.
Well, I think my first question, all this, like, who is still listening after 13 minutes of dead air? And if you are, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And
did you tweet out that we're back?
Yes, I believe I did. Let me.
Okay. All right. But yeah. I don't know what those technical difficulties were.
Yep. Sorry, we're live now, 2 minutes ago. So, yeah, if you're out there, and there may be people who are, we hope. There's been a lot of great people that do follow the show, and we do thank them. We're not making light of that. We're just making light of our technical difficulties.
I find interesting that there have only been 8 directors of the FBI. Wouldn't it seem like there's, a lot more? I mean, the FBI has been around since 1935.
Yeah, well, that's J. Edgar got a hold of it, and that little crooked.
Yeah, he's got a nice little chunk of 36, almost 37 years.
What he was trying to get done, which he never got done, was but it turned out it happened anyway. He was basically director for life, and I don't think he ever got that in writing, but he had so much dirt on all the presidential the presidents and all of their political underlings that they couldn't get rid of the guy, and I believe he died in office. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So,
John, you are correct. He died of a heart attack in his home, May 2nd, 1972. And there was an interim for one day. There was an acting. There were two actings after that, and then looks like a guy named Clarence M. Kelly took over. But yeah, I mean, what's your? I mean, we all know about Hoover's cross-dressing, and now it's like people it's almost like people make jokes about it now. Like the guy that was in charge of the FBI was a closeted cross-dresser, and I'm not bashing cross-dressing or whatever. No. More power to you.
Well, and what you see with these, corrupt types, they go after gay people. I mean, look at the congressman. Look at Larry Craig. Look at Foley. Look at any number of them that and they're Republicans and they're all gay, and they just spearhead an anti-gay agenda, because sure, they know that's the only thing that plays with their electorate. So it's just, yeah. And if you've got somebody running the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world who's corrupt and, obviously has many secrets, and not to mention he rubbed elbows with organized crime for all those years and racetracks and vacations. And so, I was thinking about the show today and the topic and everything else. So now we have this expectation that this agency that was run by, probably one of the most corrupt bureaucrats that ever to live, J. Edgar Hoover, and now we expect that same agency would somehow, espouse their credo, which is fidelity, integrity, and some other thing that,
Yeah.
maybe our expectations are unreal.
I mean, that's quintessential laughing in our faces. I mean, everybody knows, it's like on the one hand, the FBI, they're the top of the top. They're the greatest. And then for 36, the guy who basically founded this thing and controlled this thing for 36 years since the inception, is not the man who he claimed to be. Like, how, right off the bat, you lose your credibility, but they want you to say, oh, nothing to see here. Move along. And he left in 1972, which, seems like a long time ago, but, there's maybe not direct holdovers from that, but there's some, and they passed down. What do you think? He was the only one? I mean, everyone had to know some people had to know what was going on there with this guy.
Yeah. And the, it's like with a corporation or a fire department or a police department, the leader forms that culture. Okay. It's like a family. I mean, it's no different. If you've got, a father of a family who's a wife beater and a criminal, the family tends to follow that same path, and it's no different with organizations. So, yeah, if 32 years forming the culture of that organization, I think the only way to really make it work, other than gut half of the administration that works there, would just be to disband it and start over.
Yeah. And another thing, looking at these 8 heads of the or directors of the FBI, a lot of them never even worked for the FBI. We can start with one, James Comey. James Comey had nothing to do with the FBI his entire career. And then, all of a sudden, he's worked, he's an attorney general and works in the attorney general's office. And then how do you go from never think about this? It's like, you've never been in this organization. You've never been in an organization. And then what are they going to do? They're going to make you the president. I mean, you don't even know the procedures. Like how does that even work?
Well, Comey's career is pretty much a joke, and yeah, he was a U.S. attorney, but he put like major criminals away, like Martha Stewart, and
Yeah.
he prosecuted 14 patsies in Saudi Arabia of a false flag operation. So, I mean, it's again, we get back to the corruption. Oh yeah, he worked for he wanted to try the corrupt private sector for a while. So he worked for Lockheed Martin, and also what's the name of it? It's the world's largest hedge fund, and we know what hedge funds are, right? They just
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I mean that's perfect.
But I'm saying, let's say the guy was really, let's say he was really qualified. Let's say he was really, really, really qualified and he would do a great job. I'm just saying, how long does it take you to get up to speed? Like, you've never even showed up at the building before, John. Like, you don't even know where to park your car. But now you're the head of it.
Yeah.
Not that he drives himself to work, probably, but it's like,
not.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't Hoover have a Rolls Royce? I think it was some kind of, it was either a Rolls Royce or it was some bulletproof car that was just worth like some ungodly amount of money. But yeah, I'm sure Jim didn't drive himself to work. Yeah, so let's see. Oh yeah, money in politics powerhouse Lockheed Martin. He earned $6 million in his last year. That's as a vice president, general counsel. Wow. But yeah, he got used to it. He got used to and I mean, that's the belly of the beast. The deep state, the defense industry. Oh, Bridgewater Associates. Excuse me, I had forgotten their name. The largest hedge fund in the world. You think they have any inside information? Do you think?
Wait, Comey did?
Oh yeah, 3 years.
Is all his business expertise never once working in the financial industry? I mean, he was right out of law school, started clerking for a judge.
Yeah, and then how do you after that little stint, he becomes a senior research scholar on national security. Because I guess he worked at Lockheed Martin in a hedge fund. I mean, it's just yeah, and let's not forget and joining the board of HSBC, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank Corporation, who has probably laundered more drug money than any bank in the world, and also has a very cozy relationship with the Clinton Foundation. So that's our of course Obama had to pick him to be. You think
he's the obvious choice. He's come on.
And
obvious.
Here's the most telling part. Like the whole political thing is not a sham. Okay. Comey maxed out his contributions to Mitt Romney in 2012, and also gave a shitload of money to John McCain running against Obama. So naturally, Obama would pick him as the FBI director. See, it's a joke. And until people realize that this whole party system and the left and the right and all that is just all, smoke and mirrors, we'll never, break out of it, because it's an illusion. It's an illusion that we live in a democracy. It's an illusion that you have a choice, and Trump isn't in the inner circle of these types, but again, he's only one guy, and he's surrounded
You think
by,
right?
by these types, you know.
But and then the agency as a whole, like, I mean, we would have to. I don't know how you get that kind of information of like exactly what they do. I mean, I'm more interested, in what the CIA does, and I'm looking at the numbers. CIA has 21,500 employees. The FBI has 35,000 employees, 35,104, but that was as of 2014. So 35,000 employees. Like, you would think with that many employees and with the amount of crime that goes on, just the things that we've seen and we've just things that have come to light in the past 9 months with 35,000 employees. I mean, you don't think they could have put like 20 on the case to start doing extra. All these people, like, we know that the FBI is aware that there's something called Pizzagate and Pedogate, and people are paying attention to it much more.
Well, we know they know that there's human trafficking in Scientology because we put the report
right
in our Twitter line, and go, anybody that's listening tonight, go.
Right, but
go.
even if they weren't going to go after somebody, let's say specific, they're not paying attention to it. They're not making it a priority. And I don't know what is the FBI's priority. I don't know.
I guess to look good and make people think that somebody is looking out for their best interests, and obviously they're not. And I'm gonna talk about Tim Hotham for a while. I was on the phone with him for quite a while tonight, and Tim was on here, and hopefully we're gonna have him on again at some point, because that story is so multi-layered and just indicative of just what the problem is. And he has been fighting the FBI for 25 years. I mean, the anniversary of Rod's murder is coming up. I think it's the 16th. And Tim is barely keeping his head above water. This guy has been out trying to investigate this case on his own and has basically solved the case through footwork. Okay? And we're going to be doing more with Tim and trying to help. Please, at least for now, follow him on Twitter. Let the guy know that somebody gives a shit. Because and I was talking to him, and you and I are kind of going through the same thing, and not nowhere near on his level, because we don't have a family member that was murdered by this apparatus. So we couldn't possibly know how he really feels.
Absolutely.
But, carrying that burden and going out and investigating and, digging under a tree before you can relocate from the state of Maine, because you've got to be sure your brother's not under that tree. And he got this information by talking to people on the ground. What the fuck is the FBI for? Was that not a federal case? Let's see. Who was involved in that case? We had the tribe that was getting defrauded by this power group and Cohen in Maine, the Penobscot tribe. Okay, that's a federal case. Where the fuck is the FBI? Okay, so let's move on from that. We move on to HUD. Okay, it looks like they set him up to buy that bank so they could charge him later with all the illegal shit. And if you want to know about what goes on at HUD, just go on YouTube and search Catherine Fitz, and she'll tell you what HUD was all about, where the records were stored, the Oklahoma Federal Building, and mysteriously after the bombing they were all destroyed, just like all the other financial misdeeds were stored in Building 7 that collapsed. Only a plane didn't hit it in New York. So where the fuck? There's another federal case that's ignored. Okay, and he's having, Rod's having to go out and try to get the state attorney general in Maine to pay attention to what's going on, and he has information that ties a sitting U.S. senator to sex trafficking. You think that might be a federal case? And the only thing the FBI has ever done for that family is harass them. So begs the question. What are they there for?
And I think what we're really getting at is, if let's do a hypothetical that we came up, we got some information on sex trafficking. Where do we bring it? Who do we give it to? And who do we trust that they're going to do something with it?
Yeah. Well, and it can't be the FBI, because on mainstream television a few weeks ago, Leah Remini and Mike Render presented two individuals that went on the record that were involved in human trafficking and child sex trafficking that was covered up and aided and abetted by the Church of Scientology. I don't know. Maybe that's all hush hush too, but you would think that the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI would be opening up a task force just Absolutely. On Scientology alone.
How about to make a courtesy visit? How about a phone call? Hey, this is the FBI. I was watching TV the other night, and I'm watching Leah Remini, talk about some things. You want to give your side of the story just to make me feel better as an FBI agent? I mean, yeah. or that just exists in a vacuum, and the story gets out there, and then they wait for it to dissipate. People to lose interest, change a channel, forget about it. Some people will remember. 35,000 employees. They don't have, and we never know. And it's always that thing, like, we never know what they're doing, until it comes out. And, even when
they don't want to compromise the investigation that they're not going to make a case from.
Right. But the police are always asking for help in solving cases because people know stuff. I mean, come forward. FBI, I don't even get into the CIA because nobody knows what the hell they.
Howie, and you may not know this, but those two agencies have become more and more intertwined.
Yeah.
As the, and then you've got this, the task force, Andrew McCabe, and the JTTF, Joint Terrorism Task Force, the Joint Bullshit Task Force, because those same individuals, had the 9/11 hijackers in the bag, but they were allowed to go through to their destinations and board planes, and it's just, terrorism is a joke. That's another. It's funded by the deep state. It's used to manipulate whatever the fuck they want to manipulate, and they wanted to crack down on our civil liberties. And they sure did, and you got things like the Patriot Act and NDAA or NDDA, whatever the hell it is, and I think it's NDAA, and we're not a democracy. We haven't been a democracy for years and years and years, or a republic, and we're really a republic. We're not a democracy, and we're neither. And
you touched on it. You touched on it for a second. You're lucky you got off, because I was almost ready to go off on a 9/11 tangent. But about the TSA and the NSA and all the shit. But I mean,
you can't, Howie. You can't board a jet with your laptop. But fucking Imran, A1, I1, whatever he ran, whatever the fuck, can basically run a spy ring in Congress. And his wife can get out of the country, and he almost did. So, and like I said, and I don't get on here because I know people. I've got people that I worked with in the fire department whose relatives work for the FBI. They're good people. They were honest cops before they got with the FBI, and they're honest law enforcement officers with the FBI. But a lot of them cannot wait to get out of there because they've spent and you know what it's time for them to do, and some of them are, you know, even some of the guys that are coming forward to George Webb and Jason Goodman and so forth. These are guys that are retired FBI. But, you know, it's time, you know, for guys who are still on the job there and also retired guys to get together and stand up and let people know, you know, exactly what's going on and just how corrupt this is, you know, and you have to take, I'm sure a lot's at stake, but what are they attempting to preserve? You know, I don't get it, because we're not preserving a republic. That's long gone. It's not even a democracy. So what exactly are they trying to protect and serve?
I assume that was rhetorical, but
I guess that was a rhetorical question, but you know, and I'm still holding out. I trust Field McConnell. I trust him with my life, and the guy is just a good guy that you know, has been working his entire life since 9/11 happened to expose this shit. And according to him, there are some big moves specifically around the 3 or 4 Marine generals that are surrounding Trump right now, and something big is supposed to happen before September is over. Maybe that's why we have 3 hurricanes bearing down the United States. I don't know, but I tell you what, I'll be on the phone to Field on October 1st if something hasn't happened, and I need to know where to go from here, because I'm like Tim. I'm not the only one, and I'm sure, you know, you've been feeling that, and anybody that listens or anybody that's involved in this fight are asking, you know, where are we at? You know, who can we count on? Is this really being worked on, or has, you know, Trump been compromised? Sessions is, as far as I'm concerned, a non-entity. I don't see him, you know, doing anything, you know, and I would think if he was, he would be a lot more vocal and visible. So I don't know. I put a lot of hope in Field and you know, the United States Marine Corps, but we'll see. We'll see. I know it couldn't happen enough for either one of us or for Tim Hotham. So we're going to be in. Stay tuned with Tim. I know Trish from that was with Crowdsource is going to be probably doing some articles on that whole case, and I've read a lot of Trish. Patricia Negron, and she's at Trish's Dishes, and please follow her on Twitter. And I mean, I was reading Trish's stuff for years before I even knew who George Webb or Jason were. And she's no longer working specifically with them, but she'll still be doing investigative journalism. She's probably uncovered more on Syria than anybody else that I know, you know, what's really going on in Syria. So we'll stay tuned for her writing about the Hotham case, and we are still attempting to have that marathon show where Tim can come on, and he's just having a hard time. I mean, really, he's having a hard time keeping his head above water. He's put all his energy into investigating this case, and it's a you know, he's not some millionaire or even thousandaire, you know, that can just put all this time into you know, investigating that. And that's the fucking job. It's not his job. You know, that's the job of the law enforcement agencies. And he's given information to these entities, you know, and he's still 25 years later has the sole responsibility of getting justice for Rod Hotham, which is just disgusting. So stay tuned and support Tim support Trish and what they're doing, because these people they're us. I mean, that's who we are, the United States of America. We're individual citizens just trying to get by and do the right thing. And, we need to overcome this fantasy that we've been fed, that, of liberal, conservative, right, left wing. It's all horseshit. It's divide and conquer. We're human beings, and if we start treating each other like human beings, that's the only way we're going to be able to overcome this, and not be divided into these camps and groups and political ideologies that are just figments of our imagination.
But I mean, they've done a very good job of doing that. So I mean, but there's,
fucking we know Howie. Fucking A, they have. They have.
We know how many people don't care about, what is going on with children, and it's nothing but crazy conspiracy theories. But I don't know.
Yeah.
That
says it all. When you can present evidence like the Finder's report, and check those. Let me go through them, because I listed all these links. And this is open source public information that not only we have, but that law enforcement has. And let me just go through a few of these right now. And they'll all be in the show notes of this show, so you can review them, you can copy them, you can tweet them, you can put them on Facebook. And we encourage you to do that, because that all we can do is keep fighting this. All we can do is keep exposing the information, keep trying to educate people. That's all we can do. And I don't see either one of us or Tim, for that matter, ever stopping. But let me just go through this little list, because I was putting it together and I was like, my God, So we got the Finder's report. That was written by the United States Treasury Department. They had the goods on basically the Walmart of not only satanic ritual abuse, but child rape, international child trafficking, selling children. I mean, it was all, it's right there in that report. They had them. All they had to do was present that to a prosecutor and arrest. They had search warrants. They cataloged all this information, not only the Treasury Department, but the Metro Police Department in Washington. I wonder where that evidence is now, because they served search warrants on 2 warehouses where they found really horrible stuff like children's clothes and for like babies, and instructions on how to hide children, and telexes discussing the price for a child that they were going to sell to somewhere in China, and just on and on and on and on. Obviously, all that stuff was taken into evidence when they served the search warrants. Where is it? I bet you it's still somewhere. And the FBI that we're talking about, if they were serious, they just have to find that information. And I know they had names. They had people that ran this network, and they're probably still around. They're probably living in your hometown. Somebody out there listening to some of these and doing the same thing. So it goes all the way back to 85. We go through. There's the Boy Scout abuse. There's a lawsuit going on right now that details all that. Well, hey, FBI, there's some evidence right there. All the evidence in these Police Explorer programs, and this is a nationwide program. It crosses state lines. It's run by a company that supposedly is overseeing all this. That sounds like a federal case to me. I don't know. Let's see. The Franklin scandal. There's probably Mack trucks full of evidence that's still available for the Franklin scandal. And all the FBI actually did in that case was coerce the victims and the survivors that came forward into recanting their testimony. But one of the women just wouldn't play their ball game, and She did more time than the scumbag that ran the pedo network, Larry King. So that information's still around. Those people are still alive. They're still witnesses. And it goes all the way through DynCorp, funding child sex slavery in Afghanistan. We know about, and George Webb, I think he did about 100 episodes about DynCorp and the rat lines and how they, as a contractor, facilitate child trafficking, organ trafficking, drug trafficking, FBI. Did you miss George Webb? It's on YouTube. Go there. You guys, there's a lot of evidence there. And then right up to, the last show that we did, and a 100-page FBI report on Scientology, human trafficking, witnesses, evidence. There's evidence they took into evidence. They got many witness statements. The report is right there. All they have to do is pick it up, take it to a U.S. attorney, and charge. That's all that needs to be done. So that's and I'm sure there's more out there. All this evidence, and it's not conjecture. It's not fucking conspiracy theories. It's evidence. It's in black and white. Some of it was put together by government agents. These are official FBI documents, official Treasury Department documents. It's right there.
John, can I switch gears for a second? Because I was just
sure. I need to.
Well, I was just thinking about different cases because the first thing that popped into my head was the Sandusky case and how it got to me just how it got cleaned up, pretty neatly and pretty quickly. If this guy was, if Sandusky was, as powerful he was in central Pennsylvania and was running a charity that worked with children for 40 years, and, they found 10 kids that were abused. We know that's completely absurd. It's not even logical. And, he had no co-conspirators. He had no network. It was just him. It was right. That's
him.
And right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
just Jerry.
I would just like to know how deep the investigation went. But anyway, I just went to look up, while you were doing that, that popped into my head. And I was thinking about USA Gymnastics, and because, remember the coach, Kathy Clegis, I believe her name was, the Michigan State coach, was forced to resign, resigned, was fired, whatever. So, I typed it in. I just wanted to see, if the FBI is doing anything, because gymnasts came to her with complaints, and she,
about getting a pelvic exam when they went in for a sprained wrist.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. The hamstring injury that requires, vaginal penetration.
Yeah.
But so as I go to look at this, Kathy Clegis, do you remember the other coach? And you touched on him for a little bit. His name was John Geddert, and he ran. He had videos, and he had a Facebook, and he was friends with Nasser.
Right.
Do you remember? He runs a.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a news story that Kathy Clegis filled in at his gym while he was on vacation. Because she's out of a job, so
just recently, I suppose.
It came out August 28th. Now that she's out of a job, she went to, with all the stuff in her background and all the things that she ignored, but she's going to go work for this guy that you had suspicions about, because he was very close to Nasser. So so Nasser's the bad guy. Nobody knows about him. Clegis ignores it enough to lose her job. But then all of a sudden, now she's working at this guy's gym, coaching gymnastics.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that families had also complained to him about what was going on.
Yeah. You said you didn't want to make any judgments on him or whatever. But all I'm saying is, if you don't the stories don't end where, then they want it to end, and they put all the attention on, Larry Nasser, bad, you know, and then everyone's like focused in on him, and like, but people don't like, this guy's not doing this, and nobody's reporting, saying something, and you know, all the people that are around him, and
aiding and abetting.
Right.
Accessories, I think that's called. I'm not a lawyer, but I think that's called an accessory.
But getting into like the FBI, like that's where that's a ring. That's a ring.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
They never want to investigate it all the way down. You know, nobody, you know,
or all the way up.
Or all the way, right, or all the way around, up, down, doesn't matter. You know, Penn State, a couple guys failed to report. All right, we'll take care of them. Paterno and know nothing. Sandusky.
Yeah,
but,
18 months. I think one of the guys that covered up the whole thing, that was one of the head guys at Penn State, he got 18 months.
Yeah, well, that was like failure to report. You know, dereliction of duty, whatever the hell they want to call it. But what I'm saying, you know, now that we know that the FBI has 35,000 agents, and they're the best of the best, John, the best of the best. They man, if they want to find you, if they want to find something out, they can do it. But even when there are arrests, even when things do break, they don't get fully investigated.
No.
They don't. Not all the who knew what when.
Yeah.
No, just keep it on.
That's the culture of corruption. That's how that shit works. You know, it's like, okay, you've got a case. All right, put this guy away. But don't go here. You're not going there. You're not going to go up and look at the donors to Jerry Sandusky's 40-year
years and years and years. And if people think that all of a sudden, and no matter who's president or whatever, like that all of a sudden, and, you know, like you said, there are, you know, listen, there's great lot, you know, most police officers are great, and you know, I'm sure most FBI guys are great. CIA, I'm gonna reserve judgment on, because I don't know anything about them. But the people they can't, just like in any other job, you just can't just go off and start investigating whatever you will want to investigate. You're told what to do. And if the people at the top, like a James Comey, you know, and you know, everybody, you know, I don't know how many layers.
Andrew McCabe, who's still there.
Exactly. Yeah, you get rid of one and the other one's still there.
Whose wife didn't his wife get like $600,000 in some fucking
I haven't even
contribution to some God.
Was that the Virginia guy?
Yeah, I believe his wife got like a 600.
Was that Terry McAuliffe? Is his wife? Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
Yeah, McAuliffe's dirty as a. You know.
Yeah, no, I know that. I don't.
But no, McCabe's wife, there was some kind of quid pro quo there in the neighborhood of $600,000 that she got. Is that you, Howie?
I'm here. Did you hear?
I heard breathing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I apologize.
You were sighing, you know, because you were so frustrated. But there's some. There's so much shit. I'm having trouble keeping my shit straight. And but yeah, for the next show, I will definitely find out how much his wife got. And I think the figure that keeps ringing a bell was $600,000 for some sort of political venture she was involved in.
All right, it's getting towards the end, so I won't look it up. But you know, and people, you know, but you know, the news stories, and you know, like honestly, right now, you know, after Hurricane Irma, you know, what the potential of what it could do to Florida, you know, I'm no expert, so it looks real bad.
Yeah, my thoughts, and let me do this before we get off the air, but are with, you know, I've got a lot of people in the fire service in Florida and family, and
coming out.
Yeah, I just
all the people that, people making jokes that they hope it hits Mar-a-Lago. I'm like, you people are just you're fucking twisted. You're just twisting the brain. Now, if it takes out Walt Disney World,
so be it.
Yeah, I don't want anybody, nobody there. But if it just, if the Magic Kingdom is no more,
that would be a damn shame. But
yeah,
I know what that. I worked 14 days straight on Francis, and then I think 9 days on Jean, and we got 2 storms after that. And that's who those people, those guys in the fire department and EMS, they're going to be running their asses off and hoping that their family who's not with them is okay. So I really big shout out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we didn't get cut by the music, so I keep waiting for it to come.
Just about. Follow at Justice for Rod on Twitter. Get Rod some, or that handle at Justice for Rod, some support, and give Tim and Tracy Hotham some support because they need it. And don't forget Patricia Negron at Trisha's Dishes. And
all right,
we'll be back Tuesday, I think, Howie, if we can get on the air.
Yeah, we will. All right, have a great weekend. All right.
My name is S.M. Gibson, and I am the host